Right, hello, welcome to the Caterham 7 310R and welcome to some traffic in London. In fact, the traffic's so bad, there's someone in front turning round, which doesn't bode well. Anyway, I'm escaping London, hopefully quickly because it really looks like it might rain, and the roof on this thing is a bit of a joke, looks like a tent. Escaping London, that's the plan. I'm going to go down to Chichester, to Goodwood, as I often do. In fact, I was there yesterday, but I wasn't filming. The forecast for today was a bit better than expected, so I thought I'll get down there, shoot a video with this car, and let you know what it's all about. And that will include driving in London like I'm doing now, driving on the motorway, and it's really loud, and driving on some better roads, hopefully. A bit of backstory for the Caterham, for anyone who doesn't know. It was originally a Lotus car, the Lotus 7, designed by Colin Chapman back in the mid to late 50s. First came out in 1957, and famously it could be bought as a kit. I forget exactly why, but there was sort of a loophole in the law with buying cars, meant that there was a bit of a tax break if you bought the car as a kit and assembled it yourself. But you weren't allowed, or the manufacturers weren't allowed to provide instructions to build the car. They could provide instructions to dismantle the car. So Lotus provided those, and you just read them in reverse, which I think is genius. A bit later on, those rules changed, so it wasn't as sort of financially lucrative to sell a car as a kit. And I believe a Lotus dealer, either in Caterham or called Caterham, took over the 7 name, took the car, and yeah, it's still on sale today. So it's very loud. I'm not sure how well the audio is going to come through in this video. You can still buy it as a kit if you want, and build it yourself. Or you can pay, I think it's sort of a couple of £1,000 extra and have Caterham build it for you. I think if I had the space, if I had a garage and all the tools, I think I would like to build it myself. I think it would just give me a really good understanding of how the car works, and if anything were to ever go wrong or need replacing or upgrading, then I'd be more inclined to do that myself. This one is the 310. They do, I think, about 5 or 6 different models of 7 at the moment, and this is sort of in the middle. So the clutch is not much fun in traffic. There's quite a lot of kangarooing going on when I'm trying to set off, which is quite embarrassing. So yeah, this is sort of the mid-range car. The number with the Caterham, this one being the 310, that sort of loosely refers to the brake horsepower per tonne. Although I think the actual stat on this is more like 280 horsepower per tonne. We'll come back to that later. And the R denotes that it's got the R pack instead of the S pack, so it's a little bit more hardcore. For R, you get the carbon seats, one-piece sort of solid carbon seats. They're much more comfortable than they look. You also get a carbon dashboard, R logos all over the place, and a few other bits and pieces. And the harnesses as well. Actually, while I am stuck in traffic and you can hear me, I may as well talk through some of the interesting points of this car. Things the Caterham 7 doesn't have. Today, a roof, or a proper roof, anytime. It doesn't have door handles, it doesn't have door locks, there's no mechanism at all on the door. You just sort of close it and then sort of put that flap over. It does feel very strange parking up at night, or parking up and just taking the key, getting out and walking away. You don't lock it. I was talking to an owner yesterday who said they had their roof stolen, because you can just walk up to it and take the roof off. What else doesn't it have? No glove box, no cup holders, no cubby holes at all, nowhere to put anything. And the harnesses make it really difficult to get things out of your pocket. So once you've put your harness on, you really have to be sort of ready to drive, because otherwise, yeah, you can't reach anything. You can't get anything out of your pocket. What else? No air conditioning. No air cooling at all, really. There are air vents underneath the dashboard that you can open and close. But even closed, warm air still comes through from the engine. So the problem with this car, I don't know if the video caught any of that, is when you're in traffic, people just talk to you because you're so exposed. And I was talking to that guy, sort of looking up at him through his window. Anyway, he wanted to know how fast it was, how much it costs, and if it's thirsty. So the answers to those questions are, top speed of this one I think is about 130, so not massive. And if he asked about acceleration, which he didn't, but this 0 to 60 is 4.9 seconds. So again, it's not crazy, it's not like stupid quick, but then they do sell a model of this with twice the power and sort of a sub 3 second 0 to 60 time. So this again, it's sort of the middle of the range, 60 in just under 5 seconds. And what else did he ask? Oh yeah, fuel economy. I don't know, to be honest, but it feels fine. It's only a 1.6 and it weighs half a ton. What else doesn't it have? We said air conditioning. There's no cool air at all. You either get warm air from the engine just sort of seeping through, or you can open the vent and have it blowing through, or you can turn the fan up and have it really blowing through. And you've no control at all over the temperature. So on a warm day in traffic, it gets really, really warm in here. But it's fine. I can forgive it that. Safety, I mean, it's got a 4-point harness, that's something. But there's no airbag, there's no crumple zone, there's no anything like that. Caterham and other such companies that make very small amounts of vehicles, they get away with not really having to do crash tests. So, yeah, it's fine. The lights are also a bit crap as well. I haven't driven it fully at night, but yesterday evening, you could barely tell they're on, to be honest. And there is a high beam, but apparently I haven't tried it, but the light to show you the high beam is on is so blinding that you can't see where you're going anyway. So that's good. There's actually a sticker over it to try and help with that. And that's kind of it. No USB ports or anything. There is a 12-volt socket, so you could plug something in there, which is useful. Yeah, the mirrors work, sort of. They vibrate constantly, so everything's a little bit blurry. It's fine, you can just about see what's behind you, and you can always just look over your shoulder. So yeah, not a very practical car, but that's not the point. Oh yeah, driving aids, none of those either. No traction control, no stability control, no launch control, no power steering, no ABS, doesn't even have anti-lock brakes, absolutely nothing. You're completely on your own with a well-sorted chassis and some sticky tyres, which are pretty slick. I'm glad I'm not out in the wet, because I think it might be a little bit tail happy. I'm out of London, sort of. Oh, it's fun. I love it. I know it's stupid in London, it doesn't make any sense, but I love it. Basically driving a bathtub. I'm lying down, my feet are straight out in front of me. When I press the clutch, my leg is straight. The trucks are very big. Every time I get into it, I kind of look out and think, oh god, I can't really see anything, I'm far too low, but you just adjust and get used to it, and it's fine. Oh, that's always a bit scary though. That's not even a big truck. I'm very thankful it's bright and loud, so traffic are more likely to see me, hear me. Other road users do seem to appreciate it and give a bit of space, and I'm often let out to junctions, which is quite nice. Oh, this is not very nice. And pedestrians like it as well. People look, everybody looks. But it's no bad thing. As long as you don't mind being the centre of attention, it's fine. Talk a little bit about the interior, what little there is. Dashboard, obviously you've got speed and revs in front, simple steering wheel, not a detachable one. You can get quick release steering wheels, but I found I can get in and out without having to take the steering wheel off. I can just stand on the seat and slide in. But if you're a larger person, then you might want to buy the steering wheel that comes off. There's no indicator stalk, for no stalks at all in fact. The indicators are here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, I'll put a B-roll shot in of that. And you sort of just flick it left and right. It doesn't self-cancel, and it beeps fairly loud, but sometimes you can't hear it. Next to that is the ignition button, and next to that is the wiper controls. The wipers are probably crap, so I'm glad it's brightening up. On the right you've got a switch for the lights. The horn is a button, and two little toggles there for high beam and flash. To the left we've got oil pressure, water temperature, and then the controls for the fan, which is on or very on, but like I said, it's hot regardless. Switch for heating the windscreen, which is quite a mod con, isn't it? It's got a heated windscreen. And that's it. 5-speed gearbox, handbrake. Yeah, that's your lot. No radio, no speakers, no infotainment of any kind. We won't be able to hear it anyway, so what's the point? I don't know whether you can hear me or you can hear the gearbox whining. It's a bit annoying. But yes, it does work on the motorway. But I feel a bit like a Second World War fighter pilot. The sunglasses are for wind, warm and sun, because it looks like it's going to rain again. And it's really loud. But it's fine. Everything's fine. It's getting brighter over there. I think. I just saw my dad the other day and gave him a ride, and the first thing he said was, "Why has he got the doors on? Can we take them off?" I said, "Well, yeah, you probably can, but you lose the mirrors. And can you imagine how windy it would be? I'm below the door, and it's like this. Without the door, no thanks. Not on the motorway." Going over brows. Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. That's the first time actually since I picked the car up a couple of days ago that I've been able to sort of press on a bit, and yeah, wow. When you get on the right road, the gauge makes a lot of sense. And you don't need to go silly quick to have fun. I'm 30-40 miles an hour here, well below the speed limit. There's a Hyundai ahead of me, and I don't feel like I'm hassling them, and I'm still having fun. Driving experience. It's so mechanical and analog, and there are no computers sort of stopping you. There's no traction control, as I've said. It feels like everything is just so connected. The steering is just immediate. And I know it's a cliche to say a car feels like a go-kart, but this one does, not just for the way it rides, the way it handles, but the way you sat in it, and the tiny steering wheel. It's just simple, it's just that hard, simple steering wheel. There's nothing going on, no buttons, no nothing. But it's so direct that it does feel like something else. It's not a car. It doesn't feel like a car in the sense of pretty much any other. It feels like a kart or a race car of some kind. Anyway, only two frames of reference for this car sort of sit either side of it. One is the Morgan 4.4, which is sort of similar in ethos, but less of a race car, less of a toy, more of a sort of something to cruise around in on a weekend. Sunshine! I told you it would improve. And so the Morgan, yeah, it's thing, and I think a lot of people would probably say, oh, it's, you know, it's pretty much the same car. And to look at, yeah, they are quite similar. But to drive the Morgan is much more relaxed. It's still very hands-on and, you know, an analog sort of mechanical machine. But yeah, the Caterham is much more intense. You do feel vulnerable turning out to junctions, just because you can't see very far. And at the other end of the scale, my other frame of reference for this car is the Radical SR1 that I drove at Silverstone a few weeks ago, in that was a real serious track-only car. This sort of falls halfway between those two vehicles. Well, I thought I'd park up for a minute and just go through the spec sheets, which we've got here. Just a piece of paper that was included with the car. So as we know, this is Caterham 7 310R, 1.6 litre Ford Sigma engine, 4-cylinder, natural aspirated. I'll close the door. Yep. Wait. Yeah, so it's the large chassis. I didn't know this. I knew they came in two different sizes. I wasn't sure which one this is. When I was down at Goodwood yesterday, someone said, oh, this is much bigger than the one they have. I know, right? This is a big car apparently for them. But this is the larger chassis. It's 152 horsepower at 7,000 RPM. You really do feel that, actually. You feel that maximum power isn't being delivered until right up in the rev range. There's none of this sort of low down, torquey power you get from like modern turbocharged sports cars. It's naturally aspirated. It really loves to rev, and when you get up sort of 5,000 or so, it feels like it picks up again and really accelerates more. 168 newton meters of torque at 5,600 RPM, so not a huge amount of torque, and quite far up the rev range again, so you're only getting maximum torque up at 5,500. As I said earlier, 565 kilos. It's such a light car. I can't stress that enough. It's almost half the weight of my MX-5 and pretty much the same power. So, yeah. That's why it's quick. I think that's just about everything. I hope the audio came out earlier, because I was shouting a lot. It was quite noisy. I hope that works. And I think that's just about everything. I really like it. I get it. It is a pain. It's a pig in traffic. It is a pain. You have to be lucky with the weather. And you feel like a bit of a wally driving it. You do a little bit. You feel a little bit like a nerd, a driving enthusiast. But if you can live with that, which I think I probably can, then yeah, it's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. When you find the right road, it's great. It's unlike everything else. And because it isn't stupidly fast, it's usable. I was following a couple of cars today, a Hyundai and a Vauxhall of some description, being pedalled pretty quick, but within the speed limit. And I was having a great time following them. I didn't need to get past. I wasn't in a 600 horsepower supercar using a tenth of its performance and then scaring myself with the other 2 or 3 tenths before it becomes illegal. I was driving pretty quickly, having a great time, but at 60 miles an hour. And that's what these are about. Granted, you can get one with double the power, so that I think would be quite different. Keen to try that, hopefully I can get one later in the summer. But yeah, I think this is the sweet spot. I think the slower ones are very much sort of touring cars. They're more like Morgans, I think, if you go for a slower Caterham 7. And the quicker ones then become something else entirely. They're a track toy. But this, it is a track toy, but I think you could use it quite a lot. Not every day, I nearly said every day then. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. Click like, click subscribe, and I promise, I know I say this every video, it doesn't always happen, I promise there will be more videos coming on very soon.